my listeners out there today. We have a special guest in today, goes by the name of Juri. She is an actress, producer, and author. She is also known as the Goddess of Connection. Juri is a musician, model, actor, survivor of abuse and homelessness, a motivational speaker, reporter for the Foxborough Reporter, Reiki Practitioner, life coach, and Rotarian. Juri is a scholarship recipient of Berklee College of Music. She has toured nationally, performed, recorded, produced many albums. She is a former founder, president of Genuine Voices, a nonprofit which taught music in the Juvenile Detention Centers. Juri is a recipient of Heroes Among Us from the NBA Boston Celtics, Volunteerism Award from the New England Patriots, and Paul Harris Award from Rotary International. Her inspiring life was featured in many media, including the Japanese reality show, which aired in 2017 and was viewed by 7.5 million people. That is one heck of a feat and one heck of a resume. Welcome to the show, Juri.
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Not a problem at all. I want to thank you for being here. I know that as far as my audience is concerned, we like dealing with entrepreneurs. We like dealing with people who have followed their hearts. And you are a quadruple threat entrepreneur, is how you explain yourself. Am I correct?
Whatever you want to call it.
Okay. Well, if you could, can you take us back to the, I guess, the beginning of it, when you knew that you wanted to be independent, when you wanted to be an entrepreneur, if we may start there.
So when I came to Berklee College of Music from Japan, that was first my focus to study music, graduate from college. But then when I graduated, the year that I was in the senior project, 9/11 happened. It was 2001. And that really hit me to do something really worthy and giving back to the community and help other people. So I started a nonprofit to help juvenile offenders in a detention program. So I was a president and founder for the 501c3 nonprofit called Genuine Voices for 12 years. And then that's when I got the award from the Boston Celtics called Heroes Among Us and other accolades. But that was my really beginning of starting the business nonprofit. However, it has really similar aspect to for-profit because you have to ensemble the team, you have to do fundraising, you have to do the tax and all the aspects that I never knew how to do it. But luckily I had great mentors and then great tools, and we've raised good money and then interns and volunteers, and we've definitely changed many lives, especially Black kids and really underserved populations, which a lot of people don't want to talk about it or don't want to go in. And I'm very proud of our work. I think we've hired easily a couple hundred volunteers, interns throughout the nonprofit. That was amazing.
Volunteers, they can be the key. Mentors as well. I heard you mention mentors. They can be the key to growing your business, to growing your nonprofit. As far as the mentors that you worked with during that time, what were some of the things that they were able to show you?
Well, it was just countless of mentors, but greatest thing that you should do is to not be afraid to ask direct question, straight question. And that really is leading to my journalism right now, because people don't have much time. So when you go in, for instance, elevator pitch, you want to ask, call to action, would you like to give us $1 million? Would you like to give us instrument. Would you like to volunteer for us? So I really learned how to do the elevator pitch. I went to actually Boston University program, BU Business School, School of Management. It was 6 months program, but I learned so much too. And the mentor, it's just experts and like people who's done it. And you just ask, okay, how did you get from A to Z? Can you show me? Can you teach me? And then one of the things I really remember, like there are so many people who told me everything, but one thing I learned, one time I was in a meeting with my board members, and then he was mentioning about, okay, you should connect with this person. But as he said, he picked up the call and then said, okay, I'm gonna call right now because after I leave this meeting, I have another meeting and I totally forget about it. So we have to do it right now. So I really liked the momentum. So while I was in his office, hey, I'm with Juri Love. She needs such and such. Can you help her? You know what I mean? So it's sometimes people hesitate to contact right now to somebody or leave a message, but I'm using that technique if I'm meeting with you right now. And then if I think I should introduce you to somebody who has $1 million, and then like I say, hey, hi, can you give him $1 million? Can I give this person this help? And don't be afraid to ask. That's one of the things, because I'm Japanese and I'm a woman, and then I have to kind of be more humble. But in America, it's just like you need to be direct, as direct as possible, and to not be afraid to ask. So that's one of the things that I was not good at, but I got much better.
So you didn't start out that way. I can assume maybe you were a little shy, or even if you wasn't shy, you wasn't the person that could just go up to someone and ask for what you wanted. But then through practice and through presentations, you became that person.
Absolutely. And then it was interesting when I took a class, it was called Nonprofit Institution for Management Leadership. And the first time, so it was like 6 months course, but one of the class that I vividly remember was to like really fine tune your elevator pitch. So by the way, for the audience, a lot of people really know about elevator pitch, but like, say for instance, this metaphor is if you meet billionaire or millionaire on an elevator from the first floor to the 50th floor in the 30 seconds, how can you lay out what you are doing and what you want, but you have to have the closing line, but then you have to state the problems too. So your name, mission statement, and why, what's going on, what's the problem, and then what's the solution that your company is providing, your nonprofit is providing, and why you need money or why you need service. And then would you consider, and that's the key word, and then would you consider giving us $1 million? So I really studied with first peers, but then actual foundation who have been giving out millions of dollars to the nonprofit came, and it gave us a lot of feedback of, oh, that was too long, that was not necessary. And but then interesting thing was, a lot of times people don't remember the details, but they remember the passion. So be as authentic as possible. And, obviously you can perfect the elevator pitch, but what they said, the foundation's feedback is
Mm-hmm.
what they remember is passion and impact and long lasting, maybe first impression or images. So they said really be authentic.
So they can work around the presentation. Like we can go back and do the presentation, but it's the person. I see that a lot on Shark Tank. Sometimes when they don't really want to deal with the product or the service, they will deal with the people. And Yeah, I've definitely seen that as far as investors are in business. So yeah, that's a really good point that you just made. Um, so as far as your nonprofit, you have your nonprofit, and so do you coach others on how to start a nonprofit or how to go about their businesses as well?
So I've done some consulting for startups before, but also people who wanted to start nonprofit. I made a YouTube videos as well. The other day, there was a nonprofit to help to prevent early pregnancy and educate about abortion, and then teen pregnancy, and then they asked me to help how can they leverage their organization. But then since I kind of wore a lot of hats when I was running a nonprofit, I was really able to see how I could help leverage, even if it's like an hour session. Like I could really see what was going on after I heard about the organization and the size and then the budget and then the board. So there are many factors. So like for instance, the board has to be diverse, and then it should be um, odd number than even number because the voting. Um, and the reason why I was mentioning about the diversity of the board is then the organization, for instance, I was looking at one of the private school, and then when you look at the board of trustees, if it's only white man, then how can you incorporate DEI? How can the Black kids know, or Asian person know what's going on? Like, so and then also socioeconomic levels and age difference, LGBTQ, like how can you incorporate all the voices as consensus to grow the organization? So those are really hot topic, especially when it comes to really bringing even the business or nonprofit. It's really identifying the needs. So with the experience that I've had, I kind of see objectively what's going on. So yes, I've definitely helped.
Okay, that's good. That's based on your expertise, you were able to spin off um, into maybe a coaching program. Now, let me ask you this. As far as your book is concerned, was that something that began the journey, or was that something that also kind of spinned off what you was already doing, and then you decided to write a book? Or was that the plan from like the beginning to tell the story?
Well, Rashad, thank you so much for the question, because as I was doing a nonprofit, I was invited to so many different opportunities as a guest speaker, motivational speaker for the work that I was doing. Everybody asked, do you have a book? Do you have a book? And I don't have a book. I don't have a book. So after a while, I decided to publish a book. So then pandemic hit. So I couldn't have much of in-person opportunities to bring my book out. But it led me to actually a podcast. It's called A Gift from Adversity. So my book is called A Gift from Adversity, Overcoming Child Sex Abuse, Domestic Violence, Bullying, and Homelessness, Juri Love. It's on Amazon. But I also spin off from my book to start a podcast last year. And then I just recorded episode 118, and guests are from all over the world. But the post podcast, I think the best part of it is not only talking about adversities, but also the tools that people use to overcome, and then a gift that came from it. Because I didn't want to make a platform where they can just complain and vent. I just wanted to have a place where people can learn from each other, and then how can these tools help our mental health, and then triage our self together. So that has been extremely meaningful to me.
That's awesome. So it's a place that people can come, tell their story, talk about adversity, get their stories out. Do you follow that up with any type of counseling or point them in a direction to say, this is where maybe you can go for help or for resources, or is it more just, we're going to talk about this and talk it out, and maybe the next person, can learn from your experience?
So in my book, A Gift from Adversity, there are many tools that I use personally to combat the child sex abuse and PTSD, suicidal thoughts, and the homelessness. Very heavy topic, but I really showed open book about that. But podcast is very interesting because it's not just about what I went through, but what people went through and how they overcame, what are the tools they used that worked for them. My first ever guest was 2 times active shooting survivor. And she said her technique was to hold a rock or splash water in her face. So those are actual tools that people, use and works. And that is absolutely my favorite part.
Okay. And that's what people need is techniques. A lot of the times people get, just people talking at them, but not really something that they can really, something that's tangible that will help them out. So I think that's an awesome part of what you're doing.
Yes. And to be honest with you, I know your podcast is about money and then success, but it really comes down to us being okay. How can we take care of ourselves? So even if we've seen many celebrities, for instance, commit suicide. Very successful people who has millions of dollars commit suicide. Why? And how could we not have helped? I think because of the stigmas that we still carry and then lack of knowledge to triage panic attack, PTSD. So my question for you and audience is, as a parent, we know if the kids are having fever or you are having fever, you go to CVS or you go to get ibuprofen, Tylenol, and piggyback 6 hours, 8 hours, it goes away, or go to a doctor. But how many tools do you have when people are seriously having suicidal thoughts or panic attack, anxiety? How many tools do you have? So that's the issues that we have especially after the pandemic is over. And I've covered many stories as a journalist, even police mental health. I interviewed the whole police department. How are they triaging their mental health? How are they combating? Because suicidal rate in police department is very high. Divorce rate is high because people don't want to talk about it. And then people are shy. If you have cancer, you're not shy to go to the doctor, or you're not shy to tell people. But if you have suicidal thoughts, if you have panic attack, people think you're crazy, but it's not. It's the brain chemical shift. And it doesn't last as long as strep throat, to be honest with you. But then it feels so heavy and so crazy, and people just talk about it. And that's the problem of our society. And we need to open our mouth and we need to reach out. And then that's kind of my podcast advocacy. And especially after doing a nonprofit and being a journalist, I want to bring these kind of issues forefront and shed a light.
I commend you. As a person that has, it touches home with me for suicide, PTSD, a lot of these struggles. It touches home with me because I know so many people that have been through these struggles, and there is no help. Like there's limited, very limited help. So I do also think that these things need to come to the forefront and do whatever we can, as far as the community, as far as society, and everything else to kind of, help each other out, push each other along, or maybe just not be as detrimental to one another, just human beings being kind, if we could just do that, maybe, and push that as the issue. You know what I mean? That maybe that's how we all can help. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I think people like you are out here, getting the answers, but we also have to have like these podcasts and these open conversations that let people know what's really going on and what we can do to help. Because there's really not a lot of social workers. There's not as many. You talked about policemen. They want policemen now to be social workers as well. So that's even more stress, and there's just a lot of stressful situations out here. And hopefully, people can find and you can shed a light on what a lot of people are going through. You know, before it even comes to the career or the money or turning a new leaf, then get your mind correct first, get all of that taken care of, and then maybe we can take a step forward.
Yes, I agree with you completely. However, the success you have, we've lost many celebrities who are at the height of their career and they commit suicide like Twitch. Beautiful wife, beautiful kids, and absolutely a lot of money and fame. Like it's just so sad. And that's the problem, I think, before or even if after you reach the millionaire, billionaire level, like I think it's a lot of times, especially men, especially Black men, I found it to be more hard. I found it be harder for police to kind of a public figure, because they expect you to be perfect and they expect you to be happy, but we are all not perfect. And then every day you have a wave, and then you have something happens, and that can trigger you to very dark place. How many people
Yeah.
can you reach out? And the success of money or anything that you can attain, you have to be so strong mentally, but also like really validate, you're sad, you're having this, and you have somebody to cry to, you have somebody you trust that you can call on.
That would be awesome. Like that's the most important part, I would say, is having somebody that call on, someone that you can trust, a shoulder to cry on or to lean on. And not only that, part you mentioned Black man in society, it's it's kind of hard that you can't cry at all. You know, that's the difficult part. You're looked at as weak if you shed any type of, or if you show, any type of feelings of sorrow or anything of that nature. So that right there, you kind of have to hold it in. That, I know from experience for a Black man, that can be very stressful and clearly a part of what we are going through in society that keeps us kind of depressed and stressed and suicidal. And and to add to that, abusers, drug abusers, alcohol abusers, sex abusers, all of that, it's all like you said. It goes back to having someone to cry to or someone to lean on. It's just the different faculties that you're looking for to relieve, those feelings. And
Absolutely.
that's my experience, and
So
people I know and people I talk to. So I totally agree with what you're saying in your synopsis.
So when I was running nonprofit, that was when I was 26, and then this is way before pandemic, and I met so many juvenile offenders locked up, no hope. I even met a boy, he was 16, and then I asked him, "What's your dream?" And he said, "I don't have one because I'm gonna get killed after I get out of here. I know that." So that's like the reality of gang life. And then how do you say something to that? And it is just bigger than what you think. And how do we fail these children as a society? And this is way before the pandemic, but now it's a little bit different light, since regardless of your wealth, race, the pandemic really isolated us and then put us in a completely different mental stage, where
Yes.
everybody definitely experience anxiety and depression, isolation, even if you're ultra rich person. Now, I think post-pandemic now, it's much easier and tools are available. Podcasts like yours, mine, myself as a journalist, we have a lot of tools. And then my children are 7 and 12. Their guidance counselors are giving so many tools to my children that they teach me. Mommy, do like 5 fingers breathing, breathe in, breathe out, 5 fingers. And like my daughter is 6, 7. She taught me that. And, it's just so wonderful to see how it's getting more normalized in, because at the end of the day, if you want to be a millionaire and if you want to be successful, you have to be stable physically and mentally.
Yes.
And if something hits you, like some adversity happens and external challenges happen, it's so hard. And then myself, speaking of myself, like you mentioned, my bio, I've done many things and accomplished. However, like this week alone, I cried out like on Tuesday, Wednesday, something happened. And I just ran into some friend at Starbucks and I just burst into tears. But then I knew that, it was important and it was cleansing. And then I wasn't crazy. And just to have this awareness, however, you have this career and success, you confine to people, somebody that is really there for you, and then they don't judge you. Because in my occupation, it's very hard to trust in the movie world. So I do acting in movies, and there are a lot of production people, there are connections that you don't want to burn the bridges. So obviously you don't want to talk about, when you are especially down. And I made the mistake before to confine to somebody that I thought I trusted, but it wasn't. Like, so sometimes when you get to a certain level and then have this success and fame or whatever, that you like you try to retain, like it's just so hard to see who you can truly trust. And that's the hardest part.
Definitely. That is. And I you tied those in with who you can trust in with the pandemic. And you think about it, it all kind of left us, we weren't able to leave home. Um, now you have the gaming and you have the internet, you have the Zoom meetings, and no one is going into the office anymore. So there is a point where we have lost human contact. For the most part, we're just now getting back out there and getting to it. But we all need, I don't know. That's just nature. That's us, as human beings. We need human contact. So even though the podcast and Zoom and all of that is, perfect, I'm getting to meet people across the world. Like you said, your podcast, you're having people all across the world. But at the same time, I think we should still get out, shake hands, kiss babies, and network amongst each other in fellowship.
Absolutely.
Juri, I want to thank you for coming on today. Thank you for your time. You gave us plenty insight. The name of your book, one more time, and where to find it?
A Gift from Adversity, Juri Love.
On Amazon, at
Yes.
Amazon. Okay, awesome. Okay, so What I like to do is I like to welcome you into the Millionaire by Morning community at this time. We would like to circle back around in, let's say, 6 months and maybe get you back on the show and see how you are doing and moving forward. Is that okay?
Sounds great. And my Instagram is at Juri Panda, Juri Panda, like a panda bear, Juri Panda.
You have a website?
Instagram,
That's Instagram.
IG. Yeah, my IG handle is Juri Panda.
Okay. The IG. Okay, we'll catch you on Instagram, and I will be adding you as soon as this show is over. All right. Okay, you have a great night, and I will speak to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming on.